Let's go make a killing.
All right.
Welcome to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
10 to the 5 to the 4, play 1, touchdown!
The sharpest football contest show in the land.
I'll take the action. My Birds, Benjamin Franklin's team, favored by 1.5 points. I'll give you 3 more.
You're now riding shotgun with 2 former contest winners in Brady, Kannon and James Salinas. And getting a former player's perspective with 9-year NFL veteran Mike Pritchard.
Let's go!
As they guide you through strategy, process, and your contest picks each and every week of the season.
I do like the idea of a parlay.
Now here's your host, Brady Kannon.
Welcome in, everybody, and welcome back. Here we are. The second half of the NFL season is upon us. It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, presented by Circus Sports and Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. Brady Kannon, Mike Pritchard. Mike Pritchard back in the house after taking a couple of weeks off. And, of course, my friend James Salinas along with us to break down Week 10 in the NFL from a contest perspective. Let's get the lay of the land here. What happened in Week 9? The SuperContest consensus was red hot, 4-1 at the Westgate SuperContest in Week 9. They are now 24-1 overall, those most popular 5 picks over the course of the first 9 weeks of the season. Circus Sports Million consensus still under 500. They were 2-3 in Week 9 and now 18-27 on the season. If all you're doing is fading the consensus in both contests, you're hitting at a 57% clip. Not the case for us. We are slightly below average in the Super Contest and well below average in the Circus Sports Million. And that really started a discussion for us in our pre-show meeting today because it's decision time. In the second half of the season, are we going to start to go rogue? Are we going to start to go contrarian? Because we don't have a great shot to win this thing if we just continue with the same path we've been down for the first 9 weeks of the season. James, I brought that up earlier today, and I thought you had a good angle on how you want to approach it going forward here on the show.
I don't think there's any reason to change the process. We're trying to just pick five games, 5 winners per week. And because really, fellas, it's because of and it's been a good move by both the Westgate Super Contest as well as Circus Sports Million, is that they have the quarterly or the in-season contests and the prize money that's associated with this. I know for the Circa Millions, their quarterly contest just ended, and they every 4 weeks or 5 weeks, depending on where you're at. I think the middle part here now, this next one coming up is the third quarter of it, which is going to be 4 weeks. It's pretty lucrative. They put out $300,000 in prize money. I think it's $125,000, if I'm not mistaken, for the first place in those quarterly contests, and then it breaks down a top 3 type of thing. And I've scored in those before in the past. The first year they did it, I had a good score in the third quarter of that first year of the contest. So I don't think at this point here, trying to run the table and cash in the big money, because I think ultimately the other piece too, fellas, is for the entirety of the season-long contest, unless if you're trying to score a pretty good prize, you really got to be in the top 10 of these contests. And I think that's probably out of the question right now, unless we run like 90%. So good luck with that. But I think now it's just a week-to-week basis. And since this is the first week of the start of all the next round of in-season contests, I think we just stay to our process.
Yeah, exactly. I think you make a good case. And thank you to Jay Cordigay and Derek Stevens for implementing these quarterly prizes is in terms of $25,000, $50,000, and $75,000 in the Super Contest. Every 3 weeks, every 6 weeks, every 9 weeks. And then James points out, $300,000 at stake in the Circus Sports Million. So we're going to try and keep picking winners, not really change the strategy. Maybe we do need to change something, pick more winners anyway. But we're really going to focus on going after the quarterly prizes because we're probably not in the mix for the entire enchilada here. Circus Survivor, 40 entries are no longer involved. 40 entries eliminated in Week 9. It was Saints Week in Circus Survivor. And unfortunately, our friends John Murray and Kelly Stewart were on the Saints last week. And that really surprises me, guys. Those are a couple of pretty sharp cookies in Mr. Murray and Kelly. And to rely on Derek Carr and Dennis Allen as a road favorite it didn't work out too well. So sorry for them. They had a great run, but 151 entries now remain in Circus Survivor. That was the only team that eliminated any entries in week 9 was the Saints, eliminated the job of Dennis Allen as well. 151 entries remain. That inherent value of your ticket now almost to 6 figures, close to $95,000 is the inherent value of that ticket. Okay, let's dive into the games, gentlemen. Week 10 is upon us. Another quarterly section starting in Circus Sports Million and another 9-week section in the Las Vegas Super Contest, the Westgate Super Contest. So a lot on the line here moving forward. And James, you talked about it. It was quarter 3 that you cashed early many years ago in the Circus Sports Million contest. Let's get off on the right foot here again. Where are you headed at the top of the board this week?
Well, to start right at the top of I'm going to skip the game in Germany with the Panthers and the Giants. It's not an appealing game. It's not a game that I'm usually up early, so it's not so much not wanting to get up. I'm such an early riser. I hate it. Drives me crazy. I'd love to sleep in past 6 a.m. one of these days, but I'm going to skip that game. It's an ugly game. If I bet it, I have to watch it, and I don't want to subject myself to having to watch that game, fellas. So no comment from me on Giants Panthers. So I'll move down the board. The next game on the slate is the Colts hosting the Bills. Colts getting 4 at home here, and I kind of like the Colts in this spot. Now we look at the scheduling spot, and the Bills have been incredibly competitive. We know what they've really galvanized themselves this year, and I think there was not a lot of super high expectations coming in, a lot of pressure on Josh Allen to have to really carry the load for the Bills, and he's done it, but they found a great running game. They found other ways within the passing offense to be consistent and stay ahead of the change and move the sticks. But to me, now we're in the middle of the NFL season. This is where I really start to try to dig into scheduling spots. And this is, I think, a tough scheduling spot, not only from an emotional standpoint. We saw a huge win by the Bills last week at home, divisional game against the Miami Dolphins, and a 61-yard field goal to win it. I mean, the highs that came with it, the highs and lows within that game. But I think the other side of this game for me is looking at the scheduling spot now, maybe an emotional flat spot here for the Bills. They've been playing at such a high level all season long, but this is going to be their 5th road game in the last 7 weeks. And that's a tough haul just from a traveling standpoint and how that disrupts kind of your being a creature of habit in the NFL. So not only from five road games in 7 weeks, but also who do they have on deck? Bills on deck next week, defending champ Kansas City Chiefs. So if ever there was find an emotional flat spot for the Bills here, Pritch, I think it's here. I like the Colts here plus the 4.
Yeah, it's interesting because the other side of that for the Bills is, if they're trying to chase home field advantage, and that's what you got to get to, or that's what I think you got to shift to. And you guys kind of alluded to this when you said, teams, we're talking about Survivor and the Saints, right? Everybody was fading the Panthers, but maybe the Panthers are improving a little bit and the Saints are just falling apart. So we're seeing that. I think the Bills are in that mode where they're trying to fine-tune their game or get ready for the playoff run. And so when they qualify for the playoffs, they're going to run away with the division. Okay, what do we need to work on? Where do we need to be better at? And then certainly, if we have to go on a road in the playoffs, can we get the job done? And this is a perfect situation, in my opinion, for the Bills to kind of rehearse that, right? Now, they are road weary, though. I will say that. And to your point, James, you got to be conscious of that. And then, like you said, the big scheduling spot next week against Chiefs. The Colts, without Michael Pittman, we got Joe Flacco in there now. And, I don't know what the Colts are at this point. The offensive line is not the same. I'm reluctant to take the Colts, but I see your point there with the points. That one right there is one of those games and situations where I don't have a lot of confidence in that team that's catching the points in this matchup.
I could kind of go either way here with both you gentlemen. The Colts were a game or a team that I looked at early in the week that made a lot of sense to me. It seems to be becoming a very popular side. I'm a Bills fan. I could see them, I could get on board with you, Mike, and see them go on the road here and win it. Maybe it's a stay away in the end. We've got a lot more to get to. I want to touch on the 49ers coming out of a bye week when we come back on the other side. It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circus Sports. and the Westgate Superbook. We'll be right back with more in just a moment.
When the football contest crew isn't busy dominating the field and making plays that leave opponents in the dust, they're doing something just as exciting. They're playing My Vegas Slots. It's a top-ranked, free-to-play mobile app that lets you earn valuable real-world rewards from amazing partners like MGM Grand, Bellagio, and Norwegian Cruise Line. You can score hotel stays, great meals, show tickets, and more just for playing. Download My Vegas Slots today from your favorite app store. And if you're anything like Brady, James, and Mike, we know you're going to love it. That's a winning play you won't want to miss.
Welcome back into the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Brady, Kannon, Mike Pritchard, and James Salinas with you, breaking down the card in Week 10 of the NFL season. We have reached the second half, and we've got some work to do for our entries in both the Westgate Superbook, the Westgate Super Contest, and the Circa Sports Million. I talked about the 49ers and the Buccaneers, the San Francisco 49ers coming out of a bye week. Tampa Bay off of a fantastic effort and game against the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football. My numbers say the Buccaneers should be the side we should be looking at here, gentlemen, but I think the situation is strongly in favor of San Francisco. And we saw this last year. They got really healthy over the course of that bye week. They came out on the other side and just hammered the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know if they're going to hammer the Buccaneers, but they are getting healthy. Christian McCaffrey expected back for San Francisco. And I think this is a big shot in the arm for them. I think they start the second half in a good way here in Tampa Bay on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely, Brady. I mean, they're talking about the band being back together. And I think if you're Kyle Shanahan, to have Run CMC out there on the field along with Debo allows you to flex what you want to do offensively with personnel and certainly with formations, right? And that's where the 49ers have a distinct advantage when they can get out there with different personnel groupings. And all of a sudden now as a defense, okay, are they running? Is that a running package? Is that a passing package? You just don't know. The element of surprise right there is now on the side of the 49ers, more so than a production I think Christian McCaffrey will provide. Then you couple that with the Buccaneers with a tough game last week on a short week. That's a lot of plays on the road. I think they're banged up. Baker Mayfield's banged up. All these guys have bumps and bruises. Can they get back up to that level like they got to against Kansas City in that overtime defeat against another team that was in the Super Bowl last year? So it's tough work right there for the Buccaneers. And 49ers are saying everything right in terms of feeling good, ready to go. Now that we have the band back together, let's play a complete football game. So I think they go out there and play very, very well. I like that matchup. I even like laying it right there too, fellas. James, we've been on the Steelers a number of times, and I haven't faded away from the Steelers. I had just another game, but there's so much love for the Commanders right now that I'm second guessing myself a little bit, but I'm not going to waver. I think the Steelers are a different outfit than what the Commanders have seen this year. I think Russell Wilson has been that missing ingredient in terms of confidence from the quarterback position that's going to lead this mix of young players that need to get better and they're improving, along with these veteran guys that just need to be led to the promised land. And Russell haven't been there, winning a Super Bowl. I think these guys are really believing in the tactics and certainly what Russell Wilson's all about. He's getting that kind of support too. So I know there's a love affair for the Commanders, and rightly so. Daniels has been incredible. I think it's an outlier situation, though, when you're looking at the Commanders. And therefore, catching points here with the Steelers is highly attractive to me. What do you think?
Especially coming off the bye with Pittsburgh and virtually healthy on both sides of the football. And I think we talked about Russell Wilson coming in and, a lot of question marks and just a lot of competitive pride with that guy. And it was not really a good match here for the style that Russell Wilson plays. And I'd say here in Denver, playing with Sean Payton and the quick strike, kind of quick throw, get it out of the hands quickly type of offense that he wants to run. Russell Wilson is a guy who likes to put the ball down the field. He likes to push it, but he has a really beautiful, from a touch standpoint, puts a lot of air under the ball. We saw that. We saw that in the second half a couple weeks ago against the Jets on that Sunday night game where they came back and absolutely dominated the second half against New York. And a lot of plays where he's putting the ball up and allowing his receivers to go up and make plays. I'm sure as a former receiver, Pritch, you appreciate that when you have an opportunity where a ball's not just coming straight BBs at you. You can go out and use your athleticism over those DBs to make some plays. And we've seen that. But also with Pittsburgh, we know what the identity has been since Tomlin, even before Tomlin with Cowher, and for basically for the inception of that franchise. It feels like this is a team that wants to run the football. They want to be physical and more physical at the point of attack on both sides of the ball. And I think that's going to be the challenge this week for Washington. It's that we know the deficiencies, especially in the secondary with Washington. What are they going to have to do now? I think they're going to have to creep some box safety down there. They're going to leave those corners a little more isolated because they're going to have to play more up in the box and address the run game that we'll see out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then on the other side, I'm really interested to see this. A lot of love for Jalen Daniels and rightfully so. I mean, runaway rookie of the year at this point right now, midway through the season. And love what we've seen from them, but this is going to be a whole new challenge. This is not the New York Giants defense there. I know Chicago really gave them a hell of a game before they had that game won, obviously, before they dumped it in the last play of the game, talking a little crap over there on the sidelines instead of paying attention to the zeros on the board. But playing Carolina, I mean, this is a whole different step in class, especially from a physical standpoint, Brady. I'm down with it. I like the Steelers here as a short dog. It's really these kind of games are pick 'em games and points are a plus, but I think this is a game where the Steelers coming off a bye, Brady. I think they win the game outright.
Yeah, I do too. And I typically don't like to bet on a team coming out of a bye week after they've been on a run. The Steelers have won 3 in a row, but it doesn't feel like a flashy 3 in a row. I think they're still a little bit under the radar, even though they're in first place in that division. And I've had this game scheduled or circled on my schedule for a while because I love to bet on the Commanders in division games. And I've been very successful doing that so far this year. And I like to bet against them in the game prior to a division game when they're playing a non-division team. I have already bet on the Commanders catching points next week against the Eagles in division. But when they're out of division, head coach Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury, that's where they really struggle. So I was immediately looking at Pittsburgh here, and I think it makes a lot of sense. You guys make great points about this is absolutely a step up in class as far as the competition. It's probably going to be the game of the week. And, you know, there's threes out there in the market. You're not necessarily taking a great number here in the contest, but, you know, we probably need to be a little bit contrarian at this point as well. So, yeah. I'm on board with the Pittsburgh Steelers here, even though it's not 3, it is 2.5 in the contest. I want to move to a very interesting game in the NFC South, your old division, Pritch, and that is the Atlanta Falcons, first place in that division, taking on the last place team, the New Orleans Saints, who just lost last week to the Panthers, knocked out 40 entries in Circa Survivor. They fire their coach, and unfortunately, we no longer get to bet against that combination of Derek Carr and Dennis Allen. But, you know, it's common in all sports, hockey, basketball, you name it, the coach bounce theory. And you have to expect that the Saints are probably going to bring it with a new coach, an interim coach coming in for Allen. And can the Falcons be trusted? We're going to discuss that on the other side. They are a road favorite here for 3.5. I think it's different in both of these contests, but we'll discuss that one on the other side when we return on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Want to enter the biggest and best football contests in Las Vegas, but don't know where to start? Look no further than footballcontest.com to get the info you need to succeed in the biggest football contests in the world. Circa Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate SuperContest. Reserve the most trusted proxy service in the business now at footballcontest.com. Maddie and Tony have been leaders in the industry for 15 years. They submit your picks while you focus on picking winners. Experience matters. Go with the pros at footballcontest.com and start winning now.
Welcome back in. It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. Brady Kannon, Mike Pritchard, and James Salinas with you. In the last segment, we touched on the Falcons going on the road in division, looking for a season sweep over the New Orleans Saints. Anywhere from 3.5 to 4-point favorites are the Atlanta Falcons here. A tough spot. Typically, teams will rebound after the firing of their head coach. What is your thought on this one, Mike?
Well, initially, I mean, I was all in the camp of the Atlanta Falcons. Man. I was just thinking out that's going to be one of our selections, and we're going to just jump on that game. Now, I looked at the number, and It's not the best number in the world, certainly with millions at 3.5, but I just think the Saints can fold up that tent. There's just too many people involved with this situation that are not the best coaches in the world. Joe Woods, for instance, the defense coordinator, cast off from Denver, cast off from Cleveland. Now he's a defensive coordinator out there for the Saints. And that's not a guy that galvanizes people or brings people together at all. In fact, we used to nickname him Distracted Joe Woods because the guy was not always focused on football. Rick Dennison, used to be a Broncos player, but now he's one of those assistants along with Clint Kubiak, who's trying to figure out his way as a play caller in this league too. Now you don't have the captain, Dennis Allen's gone. It just feels like the Saints can fold up, but I understand the new head coach theory, bounce back and maybe some more energy. I look on the other side with the Falcons and what they have from a firepower standpoint. And my goodness, this is one of those games where they can flex and really assert themselves. That's why I was attracted to that. But there are some other attractive options out there, and namely one, James, a team out your way. The Broncos are going to be on the road. We just talked about Tampa Bay. They're going to be on the road against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs won that game in a very physical manner and paid the price too, I think, with some key players. What do you think about that matchup?
I think for Denver, if you think about the matchups last year that they split with Kansas City. It had been forever that Denver they had never beaten Mahomes until last season. That second game that they played here I think it was Halloween Eve here in Denver. But they competed on the defensive side of the football against Kansas City in both games. Now, they lost the first game on a short week Thursday night earlier in the season and absolutely dominated defensively in that second game against the Chiefs last year in Mile High. And I think for the Denver Broncos, thinking about last week and playing a completely different style of offense, when you're talking about the Ravens and Jackson and everything they bring to the table, well, that's definitely been compressed with Mahomes. Mahomes finds ways to win the game, but with this number here sitting at 8, I think Denver, they're licking their wounds. They didn't get really too beat up. Their pride got beat up last week, especially on the defensive side, not being able to get off the football. I did not execute on fourth down early in that game in the first couple of drives of that game, and that really put them behind. And they just they never were able to recover. I think in this spot here for Denver to go back on the road and play a team that they're obviously very familiar with within division, but they had some success last year, at least on the defensive side. I think they keep this game competitive. I think they keep this game close, Brady. I like Kansas City to win the game. I'm not saying Denver's going to go in there with rookie quarterback and Bo Nix and win this game outright, but I think 8 points. I think we're getting 8 in both contests. I like the number here over a 7. I think they're fine. We've seen it all season. Kansas City allows these other teams to hang around. Same thing with Tampa Bay last week. Should have went for 2. Let's not bother to try to win the game. Let's just go ahead and play to overtime and lose it. Good job down there in Tampa. But I do. I like the number. I like the points here. I like Denver in this spot plus the 8.
Yeah, James, I actually think they could surprise the Chiefs and win that game. It feels, we've talked about it before. Every team gives the Chiefs their best shot. And we saw it last week with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I would say Denver's probably somewhat similar to a Tampa Bay team as far as a power rating, a good, solid, above average team. Certainly in the case of the Broncos, an above average defense. And yeah, they could pull off an upset here and win this one outright. But I thought you made a great point there. They didn't get beat up physically. They didn't lose people to injury, but they were beaten up pride-wise. I think they were slightly embarrassed. They went out there catching a lot of points, a lot of sharps, everybody was on Denver last week, and it didn't work out. I'm not scared to go back to the well with them again this against another fierce opponent, and obviously the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe this is even a better spot to back them because it is a division opponent. They won't be up against maybe the very best offense in the NFL. They will be up against a better defense, but again, a more familiar opponent here. I like the Broncos. Again, I think it's too many points. I feel like my numbers are a little bit skewed on Denver because their defense is so good. It kind of tweaks the numbers here, but it's 2 weeks in a row that I make Denver an overwhelming side to back here. And, again, after what I saw last week and what we have this week, what I saw out of Denver and Kansas City, everything that I was able to observe in week 9 gives me confidence that I feel like I'm on the right side again with the Denver Broncos here. There was nines in the market early. Yeah. And I think Peyton gives them all the better chance as a strong head coach. I think they absolutely bounce back with a division game this week. We will see. More to come. We shift to Survivor on the other side. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
San Diego is home to Wolfpack Hospitality Restaurants, located in beautiful La Jolla. Stop by Cove House, Shore Rider, and Dough Mama Pizzeria on your next trip. Visit Cove House, a top 100 brunch in California, or Shore Rider, serving up margaritas, fish tacos, and a vibe that will make you feel like a regular in no time. For a slice of New York-style pizza with a California twist, it's Dough Mama Pizzeria, where the wings and pizza draw compliments from around the world. Go to wolfpackhospitality.com, and we will look forward to seeing you at Cove House, Shore Rider, and Dough Mama Pizzeria.
Want to gamble like the pros? At LasVegasAdvisor.com, you'll find the world's best how-to books, software, and strategy cards featuring blackjack, poker, video poker, and of course, sports betting, including the Stanford Wong Classic Sharp Sports Betting. Don't forget LVA's Member Rewards coupon book, offering discounts on dining and entertainment, including a buy one, get one for the awesome lobster buffet at the Palms, and more than $700 in gambling-free play, match play, and bonus offers. Up your gambling game today at LasVegasAdvisor.com.
It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circus Sports and Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. Second half of the program, we shift over to Circus Survivor. Just 151 entries remaining in the quest for $14.2 million. And 4 games on the schedule this week that are likely to be popular selections, or at least popular considerations. We start with the Chicago Bears, a big 6.5 point favorite over the New England Patriots. You've got the Minnesota Vikings on the road taking on Mac Jones. Trevor Lawrence, doubtful to play in this game for the Jaguars. Do you want to go with a road favorite there and Sam Darnold against Jacksonville and Mac Jones? The Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Again, a road favorite here. And then also the Chargers. Maybe the very most popular pick would be a good guess, as they take on the Tennessee Titans, and also better than a touchdown favorite. Mike, some interesting scenarios where a lot of teams favored on the road that would normally be really attractive. I'm sure we're probably going to see some people land on them. You're starting to get to a point in the season where availability of certain teams is a question mark as well.
All right. We're exactly right, Brady. I mean, you got to map it out. Certainly hope you did. And I know that you got through the aftermath of 14,000 people being eliminated the way that everybody was eliminated. But now it's critical. Like, I mean, for instance, look at the Eagles. If you want to do that, they're on the road, or I think all the pressure is now on the Eagles though, because Sirianni, I mean, his job is not safe, even though they're seeming like they're getting better at times. Jalen Hurts, I think he still has a lot to prove, and people are still mentioning him in terms of trying to be consistent. That Eagles defense, right? But then the other side, okay, fade the Cowboys, no Dak Prescott. They effing stink, like he said, and everybody read his lips when he said that. But there's no more pressure on the Cowboys, though, because they're out of it, right? And you wonder what Cooper Rush can bring. You wonder if CeeDee Lamb, if he goes or not. But Micah Parsons coming back, and guys are playing for contracts and things like that too. So that was intriguing as you have a familiar opponent. Where it's not familiar, though, and probably, like you said, the most attractive matchup is the home favorite, the large home favorite with the Chargers. And if you look at the Chargers, Harbaugh has really instilled discipline in his team. They're banged up a little bit defensively. Defensively, they're not getting the type of pressure they want on them, but they on opposing offenses when passing the football. But yet they are still very physical, and they are still dominant in the trenches when they need to be, whether it's stopping a run or running the football themselves. And that's what Harbaugh is all about in terms of building this football team. And I guess identifying this football team. We are going to be stout within the trenches, and then we're going to work our way out from there. We got the quarterback. Maybe we got to get some more players on the edges, but we are going to be dominant within the trenches. And that's what the Chargers have been about all season long, and it's been consistent for them. And now you got Will Levis coming back, and from a passing standpoint, man, that guy is not overwhelmed at all. So If anything, he's prone to make a lot of mistakes out there. So, yeah, if you just need a victory, this big home favorite, in my opinion, is probably the way to go.
I think so too, Pritch. Although I think when I look at Survivor and even just trying to pick these games against the number, I gravitate obviously towards the underdogs as far as plays are concerned, ATS. But when I look at the underdogs, I look at which underdog do I feel like has the best chance to actually win this game outright, and then that's the one that I start to dig in. I feel like they have an opportunity to win this game outright, and I start to dig into it a little bit more, taking the number as well. But thinking about the Titans here, it's going to be Will Levis that's going to start on Sunday, and not that Mason Rudolph's. Oh man, I'd love the Titans this spot if Mason Rudolph is playing, but I like the Titans far less in this spot because Will Levis is going to play, and I think he's feeling the pressure, and that's what these young quarterbacks get right away. They get thrown right in, and prove it to me now, and see if we're going to extend your, get you that fifth year. And we don't have time to hold the clipboard and wait around. And I think for somebody like Levis, we've already seen Levis make bad choices under pressure, trying to play hero ball, and then going up against a disciplined Chargers team on both sides, and obviously on this side for Levis, the defensive side. I think that's the challenge here. Do I think the Titans can win the game outright? I do not. I do like their defense, and I think what we've seen out of the defense for the Titans is the pass defense has been terrific this year. They have, from a statistical standpoint, I'm not a big numbers guy, but now we're halfway through the season. You can start to have some numbers bring a little relevance now, and I think you see that here with the Titans pass defense. They allow a league low 155 yards per game in through the air. And we've seen a little bit of a change with the Chargers over the last few weeks, starting to open up more with Herbert in the passing game here, Brady. But I think from this standpoint, they also have a rushing game. They've got a terrific offensive line. I think that's where this game goes. It's more so going to be more of a physical rushing game for the Chargers. I like the Chargers to win this game. I don't know if they're going to cover the 7.5 in the contest. Probably not going to make the card for me as far as an advocate to play the Chargers as that big favorite. But as far as the Titans being able to win this game outright from a Survivor standpoint, I just don't see it.
Yeah, there's been a couple of spots in Circus Survivor where I thought the Chargers were great plays. And hey, let's be honest, they've won a lot of games and they're on a pretty good roll. Hats off to Jim Harbaugh, doing a fantastic job, in my opinion. I'm with you guys. I don't know if I want to lay the points here. They play a lot of close games. They're so good defensively. They're not explosive offensively. And the Titans do have a very good defense, as you mentioned, James. So yeah, it would probably qualify as my Survivor play this week, but not so much against the spread. The Bears are interesting. They're at home. They're taking on the Patriots. But I mean, if you're so inclined, you really may want to save the Bears. They're playing on both holiday weeks. They're on Thanksgiving. They are at the Lions, and they're also playing at home on Christmas, hosting the Seahawks. And maybe, just maybe, that's a spot where you'd use them there during the Christmas week. The Eagles, I think that's probably a team that not a whole lot of people have remaining. I know they've been used quite frequently so far this season. Do you want to do it on the road against a division opponent? But the Vikings, what do you guys think? I mean, if you're playing against the spread and you really need to make a rogue contrarian move, you play Mac Jones and the points there. It's interesting. Really bad number in the Westgate because you're getting 4.5 there. That was before the announcement about Trevor Lawrence. That's the ultimate contrarian move right there. If you're playing Survivor, though, Mike, do the Jacksonville Jaguars have a chance to upset the party here and win this game straight up?
I mean, everything can happen, right? We've seen that already, and that's why we're not a Survivor, But I'm intrigued by how many people were thinking about, or if they were, Dallas, right, on Thanksgiving. I mean, Detroit's going to be the play. But my goodness, it's getting to that point, like you said, availability of teams, and you got to make those decisions. If like last week, were you forced to play the Saints or fade the Carolina Panthers? Were you forced to do that because you were holding something else, and then it cost you, right? It cost 40 people. So this is where it really gets difficult. I mean, it really gets difficult. Hopefully, people have the Chargers, and like you said, Brady, the Chargers have been attractive along the way this entire season. But that to me would be the play.
James, against the spread, those 4 games, the Bears, the Vikings, the Eagles, and the Chargers against the number, which one would you likely gravitate towards the most?
As far as lay the favorite,
Or take the dog. No, just either
I
side.
don't want anything. I'm going to tell you this. I don't want anything to do with the Bears. I didn't like what we saw to them last week. We saw that that Hail Mary just took the wind out of their sails. They didn't show up to play. They got punched last week. And the defense has been the strong suit between the two units. I know there's a lot of offensive weapons for the Bears on the outside, but the struggle has been, I don't know what scheme they're running. I don't think they know who they want to be offensively. And now I think you've got backup to backup tackles on both sides of that line. That's going to be a challenge for the Bears against the Patriots team. It's going to be an ugly, slow game. I'm more inclined. I definitely don't want anything to do with the Bears to lay the number. If looking at these dogs, oh man, that's a tough spot. Maybe it's the Patriots here. That's another team that should have went for 2 when you have an opportunity. You have one chance to win it from the 2-yard line. Now let's go ahead and go to overtime. That's why you lost the game, but that's why the Patriots have the record that they have, Brady. But I think here more so would be take the Patriots for me plus the number, betting against not only the offensive line, but the bad scheme that we're seeing right now, leading to some bad offense for the Bears.
Well, I'm betting that the Chargers will be the number 1 most popular pick in Circus Survivor. Stick around. We'll be right back with more in just a moment.
Looking for your next ultimate golf experience? Discover Valley High Golf Club, a tropical paradise on the Las Vegas Strip, featuring lush greenery, water features, Balinese tropical plants, white sand, and black volcanic rock, creating an enchanting atmosphere. Valley High creates a memorable golf experience for a typical foursome, a group celebrating a bachelor or bachelorette party, or your next corporate outing. It's award-winning golf on the Strip, Vegas style. Book your ultimate golf experience now at valleyhighgolfclub.com.
We shift back to the against the spread perspective here on the Las Vegas Football Contest show. And 3 games we want to touch on before we get out of here today. The New York Jets visiting the Arizona Cardinals, the Lions at the Texans, and then on Monday night, the Miami Dolphins at the Los Angeles Rams. I heard our friend John Murray over at the Westgate Superbook earlier today say that he has seen some sharp action come in on Miami and also the Jets, but he followed that by saying, sharp action comes in on the Jets every week, and it doesn't always go so well. I think this is going to be a great game. I like over the total if we could play that here. The Cardinals have been an over team, it feels like, for a few seasons now. Mike, where do you land on this one? Basically a pick-em spread, the Jets visiting Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, I understand some sharp money coming out of the Jets right there. I mean, the history of Aaron Rodgers in Glendale has been spectacular when he was with Green Bay, but that was a century ago, it feels like. And now he's with the Jets and the mired Jets. I mean, no head coach, really interim head coach standpoint, and Aaron Rodgers trying to run the show offensively. Just watching the tape and it's just breaking it down. It's like he's playing backyard football with this offense. He really is. He's giving signals. He's trying to deviate off of play calls and everything like that. And it's like there's no consistency. There's no continuity. There's no sequencing of plays out there to set up anything else. It's like, what do you see? Aaron Rodgers? Okay, do I want to get to that? Now, it's worked. You know, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and maybe he sees things and you give him the freedom to do that. But then it hasn't worked either, though, right? From a consistency standpoint. And now you have an upstart Arizona team who I believe, if they believe in their coaching, they believe in their schemes. And now this team is improving. They're a physical bunch, certainly. And I think when you're an upstart team, what do? You get back to the basics. You play physical football, you run the football, but more importantly, you make sure that you're sound inside out. And I think that the Cardinals have done that. Kyler Murray, with his legs, have been able to make plays at times too, and it helped those young players along the way as well. So it's an intriguing matchup. I think the edge that I've highlighted for myself, guys, and I want to present to you as a play on the Cardinals, is that they have the willingness to be physical. You know, they have a defensive-minded head coach, and a lot of times that is implemented into a team. And they have that mindset each and every week. We're going to buckle our chin straps and get after it. Whereas the Jets, on defense, they shy away from physical contact at times, and I don't understand that. This was a Jets defense that was stout last year. That was really good. They don't have Robert Saleh. They do have Albrecht, who is their defense coordinator, but for whatever reason. They're not physical the way that they need to be at times. And I think the Cardinals can take advantage of that. If Aaron Rodgers is not in sync, like he hasn't been a lot of times this year, there's an opportunity for the Cardinals in this matchup at home. I know that line has slipped maybe because of the sharp money, but man, I tell you what, I'm all over the Cardinals for this week.
Brady, you talked about sharp money. I don't know where sharp money comes from, square money comes from. I really don't care. Where's my money going? That's what I really, honestly, that's what I care about. I know there's betting splits and all these kind of things. Honestly, I don't care. Who am I betting on this week? And I'm going to be sound. If I don't trust the team, if I don't feel like I'm trust my convictions, then I'm not going to play it. I don't care who else is betting on these games. And every week we see the Jets, this love affair for the Jets. And now all of a sudden, because they beat a banged up Houston team that lost a lot of guys, not only before the game, but during that game, offensive line, Will Anderson went out in that game. They had a lot of injuries in that game on Halloween night. Did the Jets? Now all of a sudden the Jets they've to take the sharp money. Well, let's see them do more than just 1 week to start getting my smart, sharp, square money, whatever you want to call it. When I bet these games, I want to see that more than just 1 week, because prior to that, we've seen nothing but the Jets find ways to dump it in the second half and don't close games and can't finish games, don't know how to win. They had lost, 5 straight games prior to that and couldn't finish in the fourth quarter, couldn't finish against the Patriots, couldn't finish against Pittsburgh, got totally dominated in the second half, didn't finish against Buffalo. All these games, they're not being able to finish. And the one game that comes to mind, I was thinking about the Jets when they played the Broncos. Big favorite back in week 5. It was week 4 against the Broncos, and the Broncos absolutely dominated up front in the trenches. And right now, that's where the Jets are hurting, is at the guard position. We know Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to have pressure in his face. He's going to feel some on Sunday because both starting guards, are not playing on Sunday, I suspect. I don't think Tucker's going to be in there. They may have a third stringer having to step in at play guard. And Pritchard, to your point, I really like the fact that Arizona is establishing a physical identity. We saw it last week, actually bludgeoned the Chicago Bears. I think the same thing here. I like the Cardinals in this spot. Another team you mentioned getting sharp money, Brady, is the Miami Dolphins. What in the hell have the Dolphins done that would give you cause to say, I'm going to put my money on this football team going across country to go play a Rams team that has the better quarterback? They have the better personnel up front. I know the wideouts are really good for Miami, but you've got to keep Tua upright for him to get the ball to them. And that team can stop the run. We saw it last week. They absolutely made Seattle one-dimensional. What I don't like about the Rams is their secondary. So that's a cause for concern, especially when you're talking about on the outside edge with the corners. But I think the Rams are going to ball control this game here. I think they have the ability to run. They have the ability to change the stick, move the sticks on with the passing game too. And Puka will be back. He learned his lesson, not trying to get in a fight and punch helmets before halftime. He'll be back. He's got another week to get healthy. I like the Rams here. I don't know where the money's coming from and why it would be coming on the Dolphins here, Brady, but that's probably going to be my best bet of the week. Most likely is going to be the Rams on Monday night.
I understand it a little bit. The Dolphins, I think, are getting used to life with Tua again, and it looks like they have improved the last couple of weeks, and maybe the stock is a little bit high on the Rams. But you know what? Joe Public's been doing pretty darn well this football season and killing the sports books. So, like you said, James, it doesn't matter. It matters where our money's going. Another one that Mr. Murray said is seeing sharp action is the Houston Texans with the Detroit Lions coming to town on Sunday Night Football. Now, we know, myself included, everybody's in love with the Detroit Lions, and they just seem to not only win, but cover the spread each and every week. My numbers say that the Lions would be the play again, and it's hard to lay 3.5, 4, what have you, on the road. You're not going to get rich doing that week in and week out, James, or Pritch, I'll start with you. I mean, do you really want it? You talked about the injuries for the Texans, James. I'll probably stay away from this game is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, staying away from that game seems in order for me too. I mean, the Lions, they are so good though. They probably might be the best team in football. The Texans, I don't believe Nico Collins is going to make it back. He's a dog, and they need him. CJ Stroud needs him. They're at a point of their season talking about the Texans where they need those premium players again.
All right, well, we have one more segment to go. We will release all of our picks for both the Circus Sports Million and the Westgate Las Vegas Super Contest. When we return, also our pizza money prop play. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Steiner's, a Nevada-style pub, invites you to play the best keno and video poker in Las Vegas. Promos are how we roll, so make the most of your gaming dollars with ongoing promotions, daily free play, bonuses, and more. With a chance to win Knights, Raiders, Aviators tickets, and big money with all those jackpots. It's not only great gaming at Steiner's, it's the 24 awesome rotating draft beers and the best appetizers to match. Steiner's, the Nevada-style pub, with 3 locations across the Vegas Valley. Steiner's, I love this place.
Welcome back to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circus Sports and Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. It is time to reveal our selections for Week 10 in both the Super Contest and the Circus Sports Million. And we're going to go with the same 5, some different numbers here. But we're going to begin with the Steelers plus 2.5. That is the same number in both contests. The Broncos plus 8 in the Westgate Super Contest, plus 8.5 in Circus Sports Million. The 49ers minus 5.5 in the Super Contest, minus 6 in the Circus Sports Million. The Arizona Cardinals, a pick'em in the Super Contest, and they're catching a 1.5 in the Circus Sports Million. And then finally, the Monday Nighter, the Rams, we're going to go with Los Angeles laying a point in the Super Contest and laying a 1.5 in the Circus Sports Million. And then, of course, our Dom DeMarco's Pizza Money prop play of the week. Go check out Dom DeMarco's in Summerlin, a great restaurant. Our friend over there, Al Scalliott, runs a great place. Daniel Jones, over 24.5 rushing yards. Early in the morning against the Panthers, Daniel Jones over his rushing prop, 24.5 yards at DraftKings is where we found that at minus 115. Mike, I want to throw a question out to both you and James. Obviously, this is a team effort. We may have disagreement. We might not be in love with every single pick on our card every week. But this week of our 5, what are your favorite? What do you have the most conviction with, 1 or 2 choices on our card this week?
Oh, wow. That's a great question, Brady. I mean, my conviction certainly lies with the Steelers. It's been there all year. To be candid, too, I got them on some teasers. I love the fact that I can get through 2 possessions with the Steelers that way. They impressed me last year. And I'll go back to when they were 5-1 in the division without an offensive coordinator, without a quarterback. And it's just Tomlin and his effect right there. Another game I'm convicted on, certainly the 49ers, them coming back and representing the NFC in the Super Bowl last year. Now they feel like they're fully intact, made some moves, trade deadline moves. And so they're going for it. And I want to see them show up against a team, Tampa Bay, in some regard, a nice season. Baker Mayfield, great comeback season again for him. But they're up against it with all the injuries right there. So I'm convicted on that game as well.
How about you, James? What are I know you love the Rams this week.
I do. That's the one. I think of the 5, if you're going to say which one do you want to, would you make your best bet? I hate doing best bets because usually when I bet, honestly, most of my bets are going to be after kickoff and I'm getting a better feel for the game. But prior to the kickoff, I know in the contest, it's what it is. You're mandated to pick 5. Doesn't mean we always love 5. Doesn't mean I always love 5. But this one here with the Rams, with where they're at, they're getting healthier on both sides of it. The offensive line is going to be healthier coming into this game on Monday night, getting a couple of offensive linemen off injured reserve, team that can rush the football, as well as Matthew Stafford being able to make adjustments. That's how they won that game in overtime. Great adjustment from Stafford and the receivers to make that big play and go win the game over the top instead of relying on a rookie field goal kicker. Love it. No more field goal kicking. Let's take it to the house. And they did. But not only from that perspective, but more so just the Miami Dolphins. This number seems really short. Maybe it's one of those, it seems weird. There's nothing about the Miami Dolphins that I want to take in this spot. I don't want to take the Miami Dolphins in any spot. They put it all on the line. It was a great competitive game, but that team rushes the football, and they had a good matchup against the Bills, who do not do well against the run. That front four it's a young football team. Young on the corners, they get exposed, but young on the defensive front, but very athletic, very physical. We saw it last week, get great pressure on the quarterback, but also stuff that run of the Seattle Seahawks. I think they make this team one-dimensional on the Dolphins. They put it on 2 in the passing game. And I also think that the Rams are going to dominate the football offensively, moving the sticks, staying ahead of the chains, and not giving a lot of time for the passing offense of the Miami Dolphins here. That's the favorite play that I like on the board here, Brady. It's it's going against the Miami Dolphins like the Rams.
Yeah, certainly a coaching mismatch, in my opinion. And you guys know I've said pretty much all season long, I believe the Miami Dolphins are an awful football team in 2024. We'll hope that the Rams show up there on Monday night. It's quite a race in the NFC West division, and we're going all in on the NFC West this week with the Arizona Cardinals, the Los Angeles Rams, and also the San Francisco 49ers. I think my favorite play, like you, Mike, I think I'm a big Steeler fan this week, even catching 2.5. They're going to win this one outright. That is going to do it for us and the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Thanks again to our presenting sponsors, Circus Sports and the Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. We will be back with more next week. Have a great week 10. We'll be back for more in week 11 next week. We are on to the quarterlies and the mini contest. Have a great weekend, folks.
Thanks for tuning in to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Don't you just love football? God, what a fun sport.
Subscribe today on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts to receive weekly alerts as soon as the show's available. Good luck with your contest selections.
Pay that man his money.
And we'll talk to you next week.